Let's take a look at what is happening in the markets, and we start off with the JSE that just closed. It has been in a green territory throughout the day. Of course, we did get positive news on the GDP front, with second quarter economic growth coming in at 0.8% from the 0.1% that we saw in the first quarter. So looking at the all share there, up by more than 0.4%. That largely coming from the industrial 25 that's climbed almost 0.8%. We are seeing the financial 15 there popping by more than 1/3%, and a slight uptick on the resources 10 complex, just under 0.1%. Let's take a look at what is happening with the markets stateside and the labor market in the spotlight again, as we had a year's data before March 2025 being revised down. So jobs growth there being revised down by more than 900,000, seeming to signal that the labor market in the US might be weaker than had been thought. Quite a mixed picture on that front. We do have the Nasdaq pulling back after reaching a record high yesterday, down by 0.06% currently. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, we do have the S&P 500 trying to eke out a slight gain of 0.04%, and the Dow up by more than 0.25%. Well, up by more than 0.25%. Let's take a look at what is happening with the markets across the Atlantic. And in political news, of course, we had the confidence vote in France yesterday, where the Prime Minister lost that confidence vote. So he will be handing in his resignation to French President Emmanuel Macron today. And of course, in the UK, looking at the fact that Anglo American has a London listing, we've had those shares surging by about 10% today after the announcement that Anglo American is merging with Tech Resources from Canada. A mixed picture on that front, with the DAX being the only bourse in red territory, declining by more than 1/3%. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, we do have the CAC 40 leading in those gains, up by almost 0.25%, and the FTSE 100 popping by almost 0.1%. Let's take a look at the currency scene and start off with how the Rand is doing against some of the major currencies. The Rand remaining relatively stable against the US dollar. Yesterday around this time, it was just below 17 Rand 50 against the greenback, now just above 17 Rand 50. Against the pound at 23 Rand 71, and against the euro at 20 Rand 55. Let's take a look at how the other currency pairs are doing, starting off with the euro dollar at 1.17, pound dollar at 1.35, and the yen just above 147 against the greenback.